Hey, a folk studio here. So right now, little replay is still a little buggy. So I'd love to go into some specific concepts. And actually, I want to break down a replay of a game I was in that was super awesome. It had like 3 dudes from CLG, and it was the best game ever. But some replays are still broken. So until that's fixed, I'm going to be focusing on less specific games and less specific concepts. In this case, I'm going to be talking about a 1400 Elo game, breaking it down and just kind of rolling with it. In case you're wondering, I've gone from the baggy Octodad shirt to this shirt because it's nice and I like it. So one day I'll wear the proper attire that everybody likes. If that means going naked, then that day could easily be tomorrow. So before we jump into the replay, some announcements. I would love to do a breakdown of something fun, something different, like, changing up the lanes, changing up the team, going for a shred team, going for a duelist team, stuff like that. But that will be coming once the little recorder is working. Other announcements. I've taken donations. I'm going to be working towards some software. Nothing too fancy. And still doing lessons. So now I'm just going to jump into the replay and let's go. Okay, first things first, let's check and see who has what. Now, Jaroslav and Soraka with CV and Flash. I'll talk about that in a sec. Decito on Alistar with Flash Smite. Snuggins X on Zerath with Ignite Flash. Palemo 44 with Heal Flash on Graves. And Zeddy on Shen with Ignite Flash. Patrick, host Jarna with Exhaust Clairvoyance on Janna. Kerrigan on Lee Sin with Smite Flash. Caitlyn, played by Yu Leong, French accent, Yu Liang Kim, as Caitlyn with Flash Heal. Leon Warwick with Ignite Flash, and Caston with Ignite Flash. No time for his name. So, CV is weird. It is a really good spell, and on an organized team, it can make or break the game. Now, this is solo queue, this is the 1400s. I think this is a level where you cannot rely on your team quite as much. So you can play support, but something like CV requires a lot of communication. People need to ask, hey, I need to see stuff over there. And it makes your laning worse, and laning is huge in this game. Huge! But sometimes it's really good, it's good to learn, so it's good to practice. And Alistar goes for a level 2 gank. Jungle Alistar, really strong, really good. Needs this early pressure. Graves, out of position. He's still back there, He's finally coming up, and Alistar has gotten the stun off, and he's just not close enough. If you're gonna have a jungler like Alistar, you gotta put on that early pressure. You gotta be there when he comes in for the kill, because if you're not, then you essentially just waste his time, waste his experience, waste his levels. And worse yet, Soraka actually got a point in Infuse. This was a really good idea. I actually really like that. So they're going to go for that early Janet kill. They need to delay a flash. So get an early point in Infuse so you can silence them and they won't get away. Now the problem is, because Graves wasn't there, they got punished for it. Also, good ward. I like that ward. It provides vision of Tribush and River. So it really just makes it very safe when you're pushed in, and they're not very pushed in right now. And they're not going to be, because Caitlyn is going to wreck their world. So Caitlyn's level 2, Janna went back, or actually just hiding in the bush, and every time Janna shields Caitlyn, it's a sign to go. Now Soraka spends a long time before she gets a point in heal. Gotta be fast about that. But she only heals for 78 HP right now, on a 18-second cooldown, maybe 16 seconds. That's not a lot. It's important to realize Soraka has a very crappy level 1 to 3. Well, level 1 to 2. 3, she starts to pick up. 4, she starts getting some good harass on Infuse. 5, her heal's strong enough to, be a pain. But if you pressure Soraka from level 1 to 2, and actually if you get a kill on her in level 1 to 2 and she stays far behind, you can just keep the lane under your control. A heal is strong, sustain is strong, but if they cannot actually survive any of your burst, or if every time you harass them they get so low that they can't do anything, then the heal is useless. So right now, Graves and Caitlyn are actually pretty even. So Graves took a lot of harass, he's going to keep taking a lot of harass, but it doesn't matter, Soraka's at level 3. He's going to just, keep control. even though Caitlyn will be harassing Graves nonstop, it's not often enough. And that's kind of the issue. She will go in, try and zone him out, try and poke him out, but since he's not attacking Graves nonstop, it's just not going to work. And Janna's not really able to set up any kills because of how pushed in they are. Really quickly, I'd just like to say, Soraka's ward died. Now, timings are important because it helps you keep control of the map and know what's happening where. In this case, the ward died. Soraka doesn't notice. She could have very easily gone around and put a ward down, or kind of slipped to the side for a second and dropped a sight ward. Because that Lee Sin gank could have been deadly, but they were too pushed in. Caitlyn's been going crazy with the Q, so that actually kept them safe. It's very important to really try and keep as much map control as you can. So in this case, they don't have a ward really anywhere. Lee Sin could have been in one of those bushes waiting to gank them, and they wouldn't have done. Would have just gotten killed by Lee Sin, which you don't want to happen. And they get that ward down in the Ripper, that's good, but they're still open to lane ganks. I'll cover warding in a sec, but let's talk about the game a bit more. They're really in a good spot right now, actually. Graves was keeping up on CS, and the other lanes are winning super duper hard. Really, there's not a lot they have to do bottom, they just can't feed. Because Graves will be much, much stronger later on. I mean, Caitlyn has 2 Doran's Blades, Graves has 2 Doran's Blades and no pots. And Graves mid to late game will have these massive AoE burst spells. Caitlyn will have her Q and auto attack, which are good, but the Q is hard to land. The ult is relatively situational, even though it's high damage. So really, I mean, Graves is stronger mid to late game. You get hit by a Graves combo, you might be dead. Caitlyn combo, maybe, if there are too many creeps. Or if you have too much armor, if somebody takes a bullet for you. So, once again, they don't have any map control. They're not keeping the lane warded. They need to keep... You really want to get sight everywhere you can, because there are a bunch of different ways you can gank from. In this case, Lee Sin could be in this bush. Soraka finally gets a ward down. I like that ward, because now they're safe from Lee Sin hiding up there and just sticking his Sonic Wave out. They can also pressure Janna now. And really, any trade they get into, short of Soraka taking a lot of damage, is a good trade. Because if Graves takes damage, Soraka heals him. Graves can actually go aggressive when he has that armor buff up. Soraka takes damage and heals herself, then she can infuse, whatever. So right here, you see that blue side is not keeping up with wards. Xerath was able to go actually through a ward. Oh no, through his own ward. And come bottom. This means Kassadin doesn't have wards up at the mid lane, and they do not have a ward at Tribush. Now, they got Caitlyn, that's huge, because now Caitlyn can't take control of the lane. I mean, Janna surviving is not exactly important. And Xerath is just getting more and more fed. I think Graves got the assist. Yeah. Actually, Graves got nothing, I believe. No, I might have got the assist. But that doesn't matter. What matters is Caitlyn isn't farming, and Xerath is stronger now. So, you want to ward really anywhere you can. There are a bunch of different ways to approach the bot lane. You can come through Tribush, you can come through the lane. But if you ward right here at the ramp and Tribush or Dragon, you block off the entire bottom jungle that they can approach from, essentially. They can come through the lane still, but that's not a huge deal compared to coming through half the map. And lane ganks aren't super strong because you can have a ward in the bush, you can be pushed in, and it's hard for them to gank. So, right now, they're going to start going for some controls, for some pressure. They're going to go for a Dragon. I really like this. They have a huge advantage, 7-2. Great CS advantage. And I love that escape because it's like, well, I can kill Lee Sin. Oh, no. No, I can't. And Lee Sin is low. They just have everything they need to get this Dragon. They need a pressure early for some reasons because Alistar will fall off. But Graves Xerath, that's such a good combo, and Kassadin is not doing too hot, so they're not really under a timer. And here, Shen splits off. He's fairly low from tanking Dragon, and he decides he needs to heal. So even though Alistar got a sweet flash off, that was a good flash stun, and they're doing all this damage, they're getting picked off. Xerath is dead. Shen's ult is down, so he can't get in the fight still. Warwick is chasing Soraka, but then Alistar and Graves are dying over here, and that matters quite a bit. When Lee Sin is chasing down your AD carry and gonna kill him, that's a problem. Now, the reason things like this happen is because people make assumptions. And I do this too, everybody does it. They go, oh, my team will realize that I'm gonna leave because I'm low, and they won't try and get into a fight. Now, they're gonna get really, really angry right now, and I find that funny. This is not a case of one player being right or wrong. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a bad idea, and the guy does it anyways. But in this case, Shen, you know, it was right for him to go back. They could have gotten into a fight, but it was kind of risky. I think they would have won it, but it was not necessarily a risk they had to take. So Shen assumed, oh, I'm low, they won't do anything. And the other team went, oh, we can do stuff because we have advantage. So Shen goes ahead, backs up, the rest of the team goes in. Both teams should have told members of the team should have told each other, hey, come with us, or hey, back off. And people don't communicate. Shen thought it would be obvious if they saw him. The team thought it would be obvious for Shen that they go in, and this was not the case. And it cost them a bunch of kills. They're not even though, they still have a huge advantage. Blue side is going to be having trouble pretty much the rest of the game. They do have some great setups they can get though. If Warwick gets a good ult off, if Janna keeps Caitlyn protected, if Xerath doesn't kill everybody, they'll be fine. Now Janna here. Big mistake, big mistake. She takes the Xerath nuke. She has a brief window of opportunity to get out. And she does cancel the ult, but she cancels it too late. As Janna, you don't need to cancel your ult for the full duration, especially if they have a gap closer or some range to beat you up. In this case, it was Xerath and Graves. So Janna ult, a lot of the time you want to just use it very briefly, knock people away from you, and then you can come back later when you're not the prime focus, or you can back up and launch a tornado. You just want to be far away from them. You can channel your ult sometimes, and sometimes it is a good idea to finish it, but you gotta learn, well, when are they gonna just kill me, and when is it a good heal? Caitlyn just overextended. Don't chase 3 people who can kill you instantly. Also, Caitlyn flashed. Do they tell the team? Do they tell the team? Kind of. Lol, what a flash does not mean Caitlyn flashed, by the way. So, a flash being down is something really important. A lot of teams will time enemy summoners. They'll be like, flash is down, should be back up at blank. A lot of times they'll just mention it on Ventrilo or TeamSpeak. I mean pro teams with this. Knowing when a summoner is down is super important. And Cassin right there discovered something hard. Or discovered something the hard way. If someone can do something to kill you, don't assume they won't. It was mildly risky on Alistar's part, but not really. And same with Caitlyn there. She didn't expect the Xerath flash. No reason for him not to flash, so bet on her. And then bet on Warwick. Why are you walking through the entire enemy team to come to this tower? You blew flash, you went like 5 feet, and you didn't need to blow flash to get out of that situation, because you never should have been in that situation. You're not going to save the tower, they can push it, you're low now, so now even if the dead members come back, they will lose a fight, because Warwick was so low. So, a lot of League of Legends just kind of playing a bit more cautiously. Warwick should have gone around. Kassadin should have ulted away or backed up. Caitlyn should have not been near Xerath. Well, okay, that's hard to be out of Xerath's flash damage range. But she should have backed up sooner because she wasn't going to defend that tower with her no HP. And just playing a little more defensively, a little bit safer, can have huge impacts and implications on the game. At the same time, you need to play a little more aggressive a lot. Warwick here is doing it opposite. They chase Kassadin into the jungle, and what does he do? He stays to fight and farm against Shen. Shen was low, this is true. He might have been able to kill Shen if the enemy team hadn't shown up to kill him. So, this was a case of, once again, people not communicating. They should have said Warwick B. If he didn't listen, that's his own fault. You can't, take control of players. You can't say, do this, and they will obey. But there's a good chance Warwick didn't actually have anyone talking to him. People get angry, they stop communicating. Keep up that communication. Say, Warwick, go back. Warwick, save yourself. Warwick, I love you. I don't want you to die, Warwick, my furry McMahon beast thing, doctor, professor. But he stayed. He died. Good for purple side. Bad for blue side. At this point, they're really just kind of taking objectives, taking control of the map. I mean, it's what they need to do. Soraka has oracles. She has CDR boots. I don't like that. I think Reverie is more important because you don't need the move speed yourself. And CDR is nice, but you're really mostly there for the initial burst when it comes to team fights. I mean, but really they're just everywhere. Lee Sin tries to defend his jungle a tiny bit, ends up dying. Caitlyn is flashing away from Shen Zerath. The map is theirs. And they're going to go for an objective soon. Baron. We'll cover what happened at Baron in a second. It's an interesting little exchange. But that'll be for part 2 of Studio casting this game. And I would just like to send off with massive